In the hour before first light, when Tenochtitlan is still fully wrapped in the darkness and silence that a city of this scale rarely knows, Citlali climbs the narrow stone steps of the Templo Mayor, feeling with every step the coldness of the stone through his thin sandals, a coldness that has absorbed the night and now returns it to his feet as a reminder that the world, even this great and powerful city in the middle of a lake, is part of something much older and much colder than any fire a man can light. The air is thick with moisture rising from Lake Texcoco, which surrounds the city on all sides, moisture carrying within it the scent of reeds and water, and distant smoke from fires that never fully die out, even during the night. Smoke rising from thousands of homes where embers are kept alive until morning. This smell, mixed with the sharp scent of copal incense burning in small vessels along the steps, is the smell Citlali associates with this hour more than any other part of the day, the smell of the threshold between worlds, between sleep and waking, between the darkness that reigns and the light that is coming. At the top of the pyramid, where the wind blows more freely than anywhere else in the city, the other priests are already waiting, their silhouettes barely visible in the remaining darkness, their breath visible in the cold morning air like small clouds of spirits. Citlali joins them in a silence that is not uncomfortable but familiar, the silence of men who have performed this same ritual so many times that words are no longer needed for them to know their place, their task, their part in the rite that precedes every dawn. His task, inherited from a teacher who inherited it from his own teacher, back through generations of skykeepers, is observation, not the casual observation of an ordinary man who occasionally glances upward, but disciplined, precise recording of the positions of stars and planets that appear and vanish on the horizon at exactly determined moments. Knowledge that must be accurate to such a degree that an error of even a few days in calculating the calendar could disturb the balance of the entire cosmos, according to a belief he has carried within him since he was a child. The star he seeks this morning is Venus in its form as the morning star, which his people call Seacatl, a star closely tied to the god Quetzalcoatl, whose movement across the sky is tracked with an attention bordering on obsession, for it is believed that its appearance at certain points on the horizon carries signs about the fate of rulers, the outcome of wars, the will of the gods themselves toward the people walking below. Citlali waits, eyes fixed on the point on the horizon where the star should appear, counting within himself a rhythm of breath that calms and focuses him at once. When the star finally appears, a thin point of light piercing the last remnants of the night's darkness, Citlali feels that same jolt of awe he feels every time. No matter how many times he has witnessed this same event, he approaches the stone tablet where the marks of previous observations are carved, and with a thin stick dipped in dark pigment, records the exact position of the star relative to the marks etched into the stone, marks representing hundreds of years of accumulated knowledge, generations of observers whose eyes no longer exist, but whose knowledge is preserved in these simple lines and points. This recording is not merely a scientific act in the sense someone from a distant future might understand it. For Citlali and his brother priests, it is a deeply religious act, a form of communication with the very order of the cosmos. He believes, with a conviction so deep it has never been questioned, that the gods sacrificed themselves to create the sun and moon and to set time itself in motion, and that it is the responsibility of humans, especially those charged with guarding the knowledge of the sky, to maintain that balance through their own sacrifices, their own attention, their own discipline. As the morning light gradually floods the sky, extinguishing the stars one by one, Citlali and his brothers descend the pyramid's steps to continue the day's rites. The city below them begins to wake in the fullest sense of the word. The canals crossing Tenochtitlan, like watery streets, begin to fill with boats loaded with produce from the floating gardens. The chinampas, which surround the city on every side, the voices of merchants calling to one another across the water, the smell of freshly baked corn cakes rising from thousands of homes at once. Citlali's day now moves into its second phase, the phase of teaching. For alongside his duties as an observer of the sky, he is also charged with passing knowledge to younger priests in the Karmakak, the school where children of noble families are trained for future roles in the religious and administrative life of the city. Today his lesson concerns the calendar system, the two interwoven calendars his people use, one solar of 365 days, which follows the agricultural cycle, and one ritual of 260 days, which governs religious rites. The two aligning every 52 years in a ceremony that everyone in the empire both fears and longs for at once, for it is believed that at that moment the world may either continue or cease to exist entirely. The young students sit before him on the floor of a room lit only through a small opening in the roof, their faces serious with the attention this subject demands. For an error in understanding the calendar is not merely an academic mistake, it is a mistake that could, according to their belief, lead to catastrophic consequences for the entire community. Citlali teaches patiently, using the same methods by which he himself was taught: repetition and memorization through song and rhythm. For his people's writing, though it exists in the form of pictographic script inscribed in codices of amate bark, is not sufficient to carry the full complexity of the knowledge that must be passed on. Much of it must remain alive in memory, carried by voice from teacher to student across generations. Midday brings a brief pause for a meal: simple but nourishing corn tortillas, beans, a little chili for seasoning, and rarely, when the occasion is special, a bit of chocolate prepared with vanilla and honey, a luxury reserved for nobility and priesthood. Citlali eats in silence in a small courtyard within the temple complex, gazing into the water of a small fountain reflecting a patch of sky above, thinking, as he often does in these rare moments of peace, about the immensity of the responsibility he carries. The afternoon is devoted to preparations for an upcoming ritual, for this is the time of year when the ceremony dedicated to the rain god Tlaloc approaches, a ceremony requiring careful alignment with certain astronomical events that only Citlali and a handful of the eldest priests can calculate precisely. He spends hours in a quiet, focused room where the codices are kept. Ancient records made of amate bark, folded like an accordion, filled with pictorial signs recording past cycles, past observations, past ceremonies, and their outcomes. Working with these codices demands a kind of attention that is simultaneously intellectual and spiritual, for each symbol carries layers of meaning that must be correctly interpreted within the context of current astronomical conditions. Citlali checks his morning notes on Venus's position against the historical records, searching for patterns, repetitions, signs that might indicate what this specific configuration of stars and planets means for the coming months. As afternoon turns to evening, the light begins its characteristic transformation above the Valley of Mexico. The mountains surrounding the lake turn purple, then deep blue, while the last rays of sun reflect off the water's surface, creating a temporary display of gold and fire before vanishing entirely. Citlali uses this transitional period to return to the top of the pyramid. not for formal observation this time, but for a moment of personal contemplation that has become necessary to him through years of service. From here, atop the tallest structure in the entire city, he can see all of Tenochtitlan preparing for night, the lights of fires beginning to kindle in thousands of homes. The reflections of those fires flickering on the surface of the lake surrounding the city, the distant silhouettes of other cities along the shore sharing the same lake, the same valley, the same fate tied to these mountains and this water. Evening brings the evening meal and a brief time spent with family. For Sitlali, though devoted to his religious duty, is not entirely separate from ordinary life. He has a wife whose patience with his frequent absences and nighttime vigils he has never taken for granted, and children whose laughter, when he hears them playing in the small courtyard of their home, always manages to soften even the hardest day spent contemplating abstract questions of cosmic balance. But even these family moments carry within them the shadow of his greater duty, for his children are aware, in a way children always somehow understand without full explanation, that their father carries a burden beyond ordinary fatherhood, a burden that sometimes takes him to the top of the pyramid in the middle of the night, a burden requiring a kind of discipline and devotion rarely seen in other fathers in the neighborhood. As night finally takes full hold of the city, Sitlali returns to his place atop the Templo Mayor, for his work today is not yet finished. Now he must observe the stars in their full nighttime display, tracking the movement of constellations his people call by names tied to myths and legends, reaching deeper into the past than any written record can reach. Tianquitli, the star marketplace known to other peoples as the Pleiades, whose appearance in the night sky is closely tied to calendar cycles of such importance that entire rituals depend on the exact moment of their reappearance after a period of invisibility. The night is clear this evening, without clouds that might hide the display he seeks, and the air is cold in the way characteristic of the high valley where the city sits, a cold that stings the skin but simultaneously sharpens the mind, making every observation more precise, every thought clearer. Sitlali sits motionless for a long time, letting his eyes fully adjust to the darkness, letting his mind quiet from all the day's concerns until nothing remains but the pure act of observation, only he and the sky and the thin thread of attention connecting them. In these hours of deep night, while the entire city below him sleeps except for a handful of night watchmen and other priests sharing his duty of vigil, Sitlali feels something he might call peace, though it is not the peace of an absence of worry. His responsibility is too great, too serious to allow a complete absence of worry, but a peace that comes from complete surrender to a purpose greater than himself, from the feeling that in this moment he is exactly where he should be, doing exactly what he should be doing, part of a chain of observers stretching back through generations and, he hopes, continuing forward through generations to come. The stars turn above him in their slow, eternal dance, the same dance his ancestors watched, the same dance his children and his children's children will watch. For as long as the empire lasts, for as long as someone is willing to climb these cold stone steps in the hours before dawn to record the position of light traveling through darkness toward a purpose that neither he nor anyone else may ever fully understand, but to which, nonetheless, he devotes his entire life in service. As the night deepens further and the last sounds of the city quiet into something resembling the collective breathing of a sleeping creature, Sitlali finally finishes his observations for this night, recording the final positions in his mental notes which he will transfer tomorrow onto the more lasting medium of amity bark. He descends the steps, each step now carried by the fatigue that comes from a day filled with physical and spiritual effort, but also by that deep satisfaction of a man who knows he has spent his day in accordance with his purpose. Returning home through the dark streets of the city, lit only by the occasional glow of fire from a window or the torch of some late traveler, Sitlali breathes deeply the night air, cold and damp from the lake, filled with the scent of smoke and water and distant flowers that open their petals only in darkness. This is a scent as familiar as his own breath, a scent carrying within it his entire life, all his nights spent in observation, all his knowledge accumulated through years of discipline and devotion. When he finally reaches his bed, where his wife sleeps peacefully, unaware of his late return, since she has grown accustomed to this rhythm through years of shared life, Sitlali lies down quietly, not wishing to wake her, and looks through a small opening in the wall that allows a view of a patch of sky above their home. Even from here, from the comfort of his own bed, he cannot entirely stop observing the stars he sees through that small opening continue their slow movement, the same movement he tracked all night from atop the pyramid, and he watches them until sleep finally takes him, carrying him into a darkness that is, as always, filled with dreams of light traveling through endless space toward a purpose only the gods fully understand.